Welcome, everyone. I'm Sean Burris. I'm the curator of Judaic art here at the North Carolina Museum of Art, and it's a privilege to welcome you today to our third annual Yom HaShoah Holocaust Remembrance Day concert. This series has been one of the most personally meaningful and powerful programs we've presented as part of our Initiative for Jewish Arts and Culture. And every year, I look forward to collaborating with the amazing and talented Jacqueline Wolborsky, principal second violinist at the North Carolina Symphony and curator of today's program. But it's been especially meaningful this year also to welcome Zalman Raffael, artistic director of the Carolina Ballet, and the extraordinary dancers of that company who've created a new choreography piece for this occasion. And I'm just so grateful to both of them for their partnership and the creativity they brought to today's performance. I would also like to thank the sponsors of our Initiative for Jewish Art and Culture. Many of them are here today, and you can find their names in your program. Their annual support of our Initiative for Jewish Art and Culture makes possible Jewish storytelling through dynamic performing arts programs like today's, and it makes it possible for those programs to be widely accessible to the community for free or very nominal rates. So if we could give them a round of applause. Finally, I want to thank all of you for being here today. Music and the arts have a special power to move us, to help us encounter history, not in a rarefied intellectual way, but on an emotional level and experiential level. And by joining us today, you are taking part in an act of collective remembrance that is more vital today than ever before. On that note, I should also mention you can continue remembering this week. We have a wonderful film screening on Thursday evening at 7 o'clock. It's called Shtetl, and it portrays one day in the life, or really the last day in the life of a Ukrainian village on the eve of the Nazi takeover. And we will be joined for that screening by the lead actor, Moshe Labelle, a native Yiddish speaker, who will join us for a conversation after the film. That's Thursday evening at 7. Without further ado, though, if you could join me in welcoming Jacqueline Wolborsky, who will tell us about the program.
Hello, I'm Jackie, and so happy to have everybody here today. Thank you so much. It means so much to us. And on this day before Holocaust Commemoration Day, I hope for the concert to give us the time and space to remember and heal from the horrific events of the Holocaust. We are so lucky to know Zali of the Carolina Ballet, and when he briefly mentioned to me over a year ago that his grandfather was a survivor and helped to establish the state of Israel, I could not let it go. I wanted to celebrate and bring his incredible and courageous grandfather to light. So we decided to focus on bringing you a concert of composers from the region Zali's grandfather inhabited throughout his life, and then to further connect with the Grinberg family, each piece is based on a dance. So I'm also so honored to be performing this concert with my colleagues Justin Bruns, who you will see in a minute, Kurt Zong, Bonnie Thron, and pianist Danielle Hahn. A special thanks to the Art Museum and Sean Burris, as well as Zali, and so thrilled to have dancers Taylor Ayotte, Braden Hart, and Kiefer Curtis with us. We're so happy, and you'll see later why. Unfortunately, Zalman Grinberg is no longer with us, but we are fortunate enough to have his son, Yair Grinberg, who is here to tell us his story today. Thank you. Please welcome Yair.
It's an honor to be here at this Yom HaShoah concert, and I want to thank Zalman Raffael and Jackie Wolborsky and Sean Burris. as well as the North Carolina Museum of Art for allowing this event to include my parents' unique story. Theirs is a unique story among 6 million unique stories, most of them ending far too soon. An inmate of the Schulhoff concentration camp was offered extra bread rations to be a capo, but refused after being told that capos have to beat other prisoners with a whip. When another inmate questioned her decision, the woman said, "If God wants me to survive, then I'll survive without their damn bread." Starving with typhus and dysentery, at the time of her liberation, it didn't seem she would survive, but she did. She was my mother, Eva Grinberg. When Eva was liberated by the Soviet Army in the dead of winter 1945, she had no idea whether her husband, Dr. Zalman Grinberg, was even alive. Even in her wildest dreams, she couldn't have imagined all that he would do within 4 days of his own liberation. Zalman Grinberg led an escape from a Nazi death train during an Allied air attack. He defied SS orders to get back on the train, signaling the group to stay in the forest. As he sought ways to lead and care for 400 sick and injured fellow prisoners, he and others sought help from local German villagers, but they were rebuffed. Undeterred, he would take over a fully equipped German army hospital within 4 days of his own liberation. The DP hospital at the St. Ottilian Monastery would soon be staffed with Jewish doctors taking care of concentration camp survivors. Once the freed inmates were away from the SS, they were caught in a no man's land, where the Americans may have been on their way, but the structure of the Third Reich was still intact. After reaching the village of Schwabhausen, Zalman was able to procure some food, medical supplies, and the use of a phone from a local physician. Holding the phone for the first time in years, he called the chief medical officer at the German military hospital, boldly introducing himself as a representative of the International Red Cross, charged with ensuring the medical care of a group of political prisoners. In a commanding voice, he demanded that ambulances be sent for the extremely sick patients under his care. 3 times in the next few days, he brought sick and injured patients to the hospital. He wanted to pick up more, but the doctor in charge refused, saying that there was no more space available. An argument ensued, and as the German doctor started tapping on his holstered handgun, an American captain who got lost from his unit showed up. At that point, the German doctor in charge of the hospital stood up, saluted my father, and said, "Doctor, I am at your command." The American captain, Otto Reinemund, toured the hospital and was very moved by the emaciated conditions of the patients. He helped my father page the hospital of Nazis and arranged for a funeral for the first 2 patients that did not survive, making the German officers, doctors, and nurses participate in a Jewish funeral conducted by a rabbi with full military honors. The challenges Zalman faced in Dachau were not his first. 3 years earlier, the 20% of Lithuanian Jews who survived the initial mass murders of 1941 were crowded into ghettos and made to work in factories or construction sites for the German war effort. Periodically, the SS would enter the ghetto to round up old people or children to be murdered. Now, as a doctor specializing in anesthesiology, I understand how difficult the sedation of children can be, even today with the best monitors and medications. So what I'm about to say seems impossible. In order to save my oldest brother, Emmanuel, from being taken and murdered by the SS, my father sedated him, wrapped him in blankets, and hid him under leaves in the back of his house in the Kovno ghetto. Later, he used his medical skills to smuggle him out of the ghetto to be placed with a brave Lithuanian couple, Matas and Tamara Yanasauskas, who were Tartar Muslims who cared for Emmanuel until the war's end. My father was able to make these arrangements because he led a contingent of Jewish workers who were forced to work at a factory making uniforms for the German army. Using this role, he learned which Lithuanians could be trusted and was able to smuggle a good number of Jewish children out of the Kovno ghetto, often using his medical skills in pediatric sedation like he did for my brother. My mother's refusal to become a capo and my father risking his life to smuggle Jewish children out of the Kovno ghetto exemplified my parents' moral courage. It took courage to argue with the doctor in charge of the Wehrmacht hospital while it was still under Nazi control. It took moral clarity for my father to make his initial hospital rounds, because besides rounding on the Jewish patients, he also checked on the injured German soldiers who were still being cared for. His medical ethics would accept nothing less. So, why did so many Jews end up in the Dachau Kaufering system of concentration camps? The answer exemplifies how world history intersects with individual lives. The week of February 19th, 1944, while my parents were struggling to survive in the Kovno ghetto, a change in Allied air tactics resulted in what is now called the Big Week, where so many factories were bombed that Nazi aircraft production came to a halt. A furious Hitler ordered that the factories be rebuilt deep underground in non-industrial areas such as Bavaria. Now more valuable as living workers, the surviving Jews of Lithuania were sent to the Dachau system of camps to build these underground facilities. Conditions were terrible, and 1/3 of the workers died in the process. In the course of their incarceration, my father and a few other prisoners took an extraordinary step. They imagined their lives as free men and started planning for the possibility of their liberation. Organizing roles while still in prison set the stage for action once they were free. 3 months after the liberation, they created the Central Committee of Liberated Jews, and they chose Zalman Grinberg to be its chairman. This organization helped rescue survivors and funnel them to Israel despite the active interference of the Allies, especially the British. Despite his other work, early in 1946, my father visited the United States on a multi-city tour to speak about the need for Jews to have a safe place in the world after being exiled from our ancient homeland 2,000 years ago. In a fiery speech, he described how the She'erit HaPlata, or remnant of the survivors, were now stuck in the throat of international politics. It is not an exaggeration to say that he was instrumental in Israel's founding. 1 month after the liberation, on May 27th, a group of survivors who had been musicians decided to have a concert to celebrate their freedom. As the chief physician in the new hospital, my father had to address the audience, recounting his particular journey through the Nazi hell while paying tribute to the millions who did not survive. Over the next few years, this group of musicians would come to be known by various names, such as the ex-concentration camp orchestra and the representative orchestra of the She'erit HaPlata. As they traveled throughout the camps for displaced survivors, they became a symbol of hope, renewal, and reclamation of agency. This concert was memorialized in U.S. Army veteran Robert Hilliard's memoir, Surviving the Americans. It continues to inspire commemorative interfaith concerts to ensure we never forget. My niece, Emanuela, Zalman Raffael's sister, and my son, Greg, attended one in September 2018. Then, as in 1945, the concert was intended to convey sentiments of remembrance and reconciliation in turbulent times. The musicians were from Tel Aviv University's Buchman Mehta School of Music, Israel's leading classical music academy, and many were descendants of Holocaust survivors. They played for an audience of Germans, Americans, and Israelis, some with a direct connection to the Jewish hospital at St. Ottilia. My parents, Zalman Raphael's grandparents, are no longer here, but I am certain that both of them would be delighted that their story has been honored by the multiple art forms of today's Yom HaShoah Concert. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yair. That was incredibly moving, and the story is really unbelievable. I'm so happy that we get to honor your parents today. So now we are going to move to the music part of the concert, and I'm going to introduce the first piece, which is by Erwin Schulhoff. He composed this piece before the war in 1923 in Prague. Schulhoff was greatly influenced by jazz and dance, and he loved dancing so much he would spend all night in dance clubs. This piece is, it's 5 movements of dances. The first movement is a sardonic Viennese waltz. The second movement is a mischievous serenade. It blends French and German cabaret music. The third movement is a relentless Czech folk dance, like a polka of Schulhoff's heritage. And the fourth movement is a melancholy tango. The fifth movement is a tarantella, which is a fast Italian dance. Schulhoff dedicated this piece to composer Darius Milhaud, and he was a student of Antonin Dvorak's. Like Zalman Grinberg, he was a victim of the Holocaust, and as a Czech Jew, was labeled a degenerate artist in the 1930s, so he and his music were blacklisted. In 1941, Schulhoff was deported to Würzburg prison camp, only a 2-hour drive to where Zalman Grinberg was in Dachau. Schulhoff died in the camp in 1942. So now I'm going to go get the rest of the musicians, and we will be right back. So thank you so much for being here again. Okay, welcome back. Next we are going to play Improvisation and Dance by Ben Haim, and I'm here with my lovely pianist Danielle Hahn. It was written in 1939, and this exemplifies the Mediterranean style that Ben Haim pioneered. So like Zalman Grinberg, he immigrated from Germany to Israel. Ben Haim immigrated to Israel in 1933, and after the growing restrictions on performances by Jewish musicians and extreme anti-Semitism after Hitler's appointment as chancellor. Ben Haim's style is a departure from his German heritage in favor of a new national idiom that he brought to Israel. His style blends French Impressionism with Middle Eastern overtones and dance rhythms. The first part of this piece, which is the improvisatory part, uses a melismatic style. This is a style which resembles the improvisational nature of Sephardic Jewish prayer or song, where one syllable is held over many undulating lines. From the lyrical improvisation, we transition to the dance part, which is Yemeni in character, meaning it's very rhythmic with ecstatic spiritual expression, usually accompanied by high-pitched voice that I will emulate at the highest registers of my violin. Ben Haim was considered a core composer in establishing the rich arts and musical culture of Israel, and along with Zalman Grinberg, another key figure influencing the state of Israel. So thank you. concert with the Glass, with the amazing Carolina Ballet dancers. And this is this third string quartet from Phillip Glass. And I picked this piece because of the shared Lithuanian Jewish heritage between Zalman Grinberg and Phillip Glass. So this piece is an example of highly emotional minimalism. It's a style that Phillip Glass pioneered. It uses very repetitive patterns to create a meditative, almost hypnotic atmosphere. This style was greatly influenced when he worked in the 1960s with Ravi Shankar in India. So the string quartet has 6 movements, and it's based on a movie about Yukio Mishima. The piece takes us through particular events of Mishima's life, who came of age during World War II. It reveals the societal pressures of wartime Japan and Mishima's attempt of a coup, and then ends in a ritual suicide. The movements in the quartet are taken from Mishima's life, filled with great discipline from martial arts and so much internal suffering. This draws a parallel to the life that Zalman Grinberg led as a physician in Dachau concentration camp. He suffered in unimaginable ways during his time in Dachau, and as he wrote in his book, Our Liberation from Dachau, he describes the incredible discipline and organization that helped him and his fellow prisoners survive. So we are so honored to have the dancers of the Carolina Ballet joining us, and thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Thank you so much. Thank you.